The Member of Parliament for Boku Central, Mahama Ayariga, has been found guilty of contempt by the 5-member committee tasked to investigate claims that Parliament Appointment Committee was bribed to approve Energy Minister Boakye Jako when he appeared before the committee. The committee, in its report presented to the House in the last few hours, recommended that the Boku Central MP render an unqualified apology to Parliament. Chairman of the 5-member committee in its findings also cleared the chairman of the appointments committee and the 2 others implicated in the bribery allegation.
Mr. Speaker, cannot therefore rely on the hearsay evidence mentioning 2 mystery members of the appointments committee. Mr. Speaker, in the circumstance, with regards to the first issue or term of reference, which is to establish whether First Deputy Speaker, Mr. Joseph Osei-Wusu, took money from the Energy Minister, Mr. Boakye Jako, and gave it to the Minority Chief Whip, Honorable Alhaji Mohammed Mubarak Mutaka, to be distributed to the members of the Appointments Committee. The committee is unanimous that there is no evidence that Honorable Boakye Jako gave money to the Honorable Joe Osei-Wusu to bribe members of the Appointments Committee. Furthermore, there is no evidence that this committee can rely on to lead it to the conclusion that Honorable Joe Osei-Wusu gave money to Honorable Mohammed Mutaka for the purposes of bribing the members of the Appointments Committee or for any other purpose at all. Mr. Speaker, your committee is of the view that a multiplicity of rumors does not metamorphosize a rumor into a fact.
And chairman of the 5-member committee in his findings also cleared the chairman of the appointments committee and 2 others implicated in the allegation. Well, after the submissions by the minority leader and his colleague majority leader, the speaker offered the Boku Central MP an opportunity to purge himself of the contempt charge.
Honorable Ayariga, if he so pleases, may stand in his place, render the withdrawal and apology, whereafter I'll proceed from there.
There were, however, interventions by some members of the leadership on the minority side who pleaded that the Boku Central MP be spared the humiliation of apologizing in the bar. The speaker obliged and allowed him to apologize from his seat.
Mr. Speaker, I have every intention to show you utmost respect and act according to your directives. But I will do myself grave injustice if in rendering the apology I do not point out certain matters that I also feel are important for you to advert your mind to. Mr. Speaker, in the first place, you set up a committee pursuant to Order 191. First legal question is, does that committee have the power to come to conclusions relating to matters of contempt? Does it have the power? You set it up to find facts and report the facts to you. Does it have the power to come to conclusions on matters of contempt which are clearly spelled out in Order 30, 31, and 32? Facts, not to conclude on contempt, because the issues of contempt are clearly defined in the standing orders. And so that is the first thing that I just wanted to advert your mind to, whether the committee can make findings and come to a conclusion that the provisions of contempt have been violated. That's the first question. Mr. Speaker, the second question is, they used criminal standards determining the burden of proof. Mr. Speaker, if you conclude that you want to use the criminal standard, then you might as well have, during the proceedings, used the criminal process. What is the criminal process? If you call a witness in any criminal trial, he should also cross-examine the other side, so that you can come to the conclusion that will enable you to exact criminal sanctions. You didn't do that. Mr. Speaker, if you say I should apologize, I apologize.
Well, away from Parliament, 362 remand prisoners have had their freedoms after Joy News' Locked and Forgotten documentary 2 years ago, which exposed inhumane conditions in Ghana's prisons. It is exactly 2 years since Joy News shocked the nation with a heart-wrenching documentary on the inhumane conditions and the gross human rights abuses in Ghana's prisons. Following that documentary, the Chief Justice, Georgina Theodore Wood, activated a number of measures, including the Justice for All program, to address serious congestions and human rights abuses in the prisons. The program continues in the Takoradi prisons today. Well, producer of the documentary, Seth Kwame Boateng, has been speaking to the chairman of the Justice for All program, Justice Clemens Honyanuga, about how things so far have been the last 2 years.
2015, I think we'll be able to discharge 104 inmates from these prisons that I mentioned. And then we granted bail to 150 of them. That's for 2015. And so I think we have decongested the prison of a total of, let me say, 204 inmates.
And what about 2016?
In 2016, we visited the Justice for All sitting took place in Koforidua Central Prison, in Sawam Medium Security Prison, Kumasi Central Prison, and Takwa Local Prison. And there, for these 3 prisons, we discharged a total of 25 inmates. And then granted bail to a total of 133 of them.
So when you go there, do you just go there and tell the people walk out, or what is it?
Well, well, the procedure is that we first apply to the Director General of the Ghana Prisons for the list of the concerned prisons. So when we receive the list, I actually apply. When I receive it, then I call a National National Review Task Force meeting, which comprises of all the stakeholders from the Attorney General's Department, the prisons, the police service, the judicial service, and then we have one NGO, the Post Foundation, who also have now become part of us. Then we go to a meeting, and then we go through the list that is provided by the director. And in actual fact, we're supposed to have gone to secondary central prisons in December, but because of the elections, the national elections, we couldn't come on, although we managed to visit Takwa prisons. So my expectations are that the list that we have so far, we're going to deal with 50 applications or 50 inmates now. But we are expecting that the numbers will increase, because the figures that was given to us are as at October 2016. So we are expecting that we are going to get a higher number of inmates we are going to deal with this time around. So our expectation is that we hope to do our best and decongest the prison as much as we can.
Okay.
Doctors at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital have begun a 6-month specialized care for the 14-year-old girl who was defiled by 5 men at Nkoko in the eastern region. She is said to have suffered what medical professionals describe as post-traumatic stress disorder as a result of the ordeal she went through. Ohimin Teria, who first broke the story, has been following the event and has come through with this report.
Experts say psychological care for the victim, in addition to treatment for complications in her genitals, is timely. They say further delay could have worsened the girl's condition.
They are very common, but unfortunately, the time they get here, they might have gone the extreme. For her case, it has come at the right time, so it can be managed.
5 men who defiled the girl in tents and attempted to kill her dumped the victim in a stream, but the Good Samaritan saved her. Her story not only shocked and attracted nationwide condemnation, especially from gender advocates, but financial support from philanthropists as well. She has since Monday received specialist gynecological and psychological care in a process which is anticipated to take weeks. Dr. Osu Frimpong is an assistant psychologist at the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital.
She's blaming herself for her ordeal. And with that, it has made her self-esteem very low to the extent that she feels like life is not worth living. So she wants to take her life. Remembering the pain that she went through, the trauma, anytime that pain comes into the mind, yeah, she feels like if she had not gone there, the man wouldn't have seen her and that wouldn't have happened. That's why he's having that self-blame. And with that, it's making her lose her sense of worth.
The psychiatry department is meanwhile providing counseling intervention to enable her to overcome the effects of the abuse. The girl says she feels better after just 2 sessions of psychological therapy with further assurance of recovery from doctors. Mrs. Osu Frimpong wants further support for her and other victims of abuse.
Now that she's become suicidal, if care is not taken, she can end her life. They should understand her condition and not blame her because it wasn't her fault to be raped. She might change in character and the things she used to do. You can see that she was irritable during session. So these are some of the changes that they can observe. So because of these things, they should understand her, pamper her, and then not shout on her because it wasn't her fault for being a victim of rape.
Deputy Chief Executive of the Ghana Cocoa Board, Dr. Eduan Poma, has reiterated the board's commitment to improving the lives of cocoa farmers. The assurance comes on the back of public outrage over the salaries of top executives of the institution, despite the improvement of or the impoverishment of most cocoa farmers. Dr. Eduan Poma was addressing a stakeholders forum on improving cocoa production. There's more in this report.
The forum brought together leaders of cocoa farmers associations, marketing companies, and experts in the industry. The program, organized by a Dutch-based NGO, UTS, sought to offer industry players an opportunity to share ideas on ways of improving cocoa production. Delivering a keynote address, Deputy CEO of the Ghana Cocoa Board, Dr. Eduan Poma, underscored the need for a concerted effort to place cocoa farmers as the topmost beneficiaries of proceeds from the sector.
It is for this reason that Ghana Cocoa Board deems it appropriate to collaborate with key stakeholders like UTS to enhance the well-being of the farmer through the implementation of programs that make him more professional and also improve their livelihoods.
The Ghana Cocoa Board has recently made headlines over salaries of top executives. Board Chairman Hackman Osu Agyeman announced that his swearing-in moves to halve the salary of top management. Chairman of Cocoa Abrabopa Association, that has almost 20,000 farmers as members, has backed the move, insisting the association must focus on assisting farmers.
Farmers at our level, our livelihood, there is a problem with it. You go to some villages and even look at the standard of living in the village, and you ask yourself, you are the producer of the cocoa and a regulatory body that is supposed to champion your welfare. You see the executives taking this amount of money. When we hear some of these things, in fact, we didn't know. So when it came to us, some of us were just asking ourselves, why on earth should one person take this amount at the expense of the ordinary poor farmer? So we really want, fine if they are serving our needs and they are taking that amount. We don't have much. We do have major problem in the industry that they need to address. Input is one of the problems. The way we are distributing inputs in this country, when we started with the free fertilizer, it was a nice intervention actually. But the question we kept asking ourselves was that, will every cocoa farmer get the inputs?
Deputy CEO of Cocoa Board, Dr. Mpoma, told the press the new management was not against the pay cuts announced.
It is for this reason that Ghana Cocoa Board deems it appropriate to collaborate with key stakeholders like youths to enhance the well-being of the farmer through the implementation of programs that make him more professional and also improve their livelihoods.
Similar forums are expected to be held to educate farmers on best practices later in the year.
In other news, 9 more suspects have been arrested in the assault of Ashanti Region Security Liaison Officer in Kumasi some weeks ago. The arrest brings to 14 those arrested so far. All 9 suspects, according to the police, were arrested in Accra and sent to Kumasi and are currently on police inquiry bail. None of them has since been arraigned before court, as the police say they are compiling data and building a docket on them and readjusting their charges pending advice from the Attorney General's office. And that's it for the news. But we have a lot more news updates, and we want to see what the stories are on the front and back pages of the newspapers. And we'll have the latest on the online portals. Do stay on. I'll be joined by Mama View Sobwaje as we do all that up next.